Chestnut was spoken about, social media influencer extraordinaire. Randall, how the hell are you today?
Hey, doing good, man. Hey, thanks for having me in today. You know, as all, anything that I can do to help fill out some airspace, I'd be happy to do it.
You got plenty of air to
I
share.
did plenty of air to share. I like that.
Air to share. So, social media influencing. Which topics do you like in that arena? Your Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. What happened to Snapchat? Are people still snapping?
Yeah,
Snapchat?
you know, here's what I say about all of those. Everything in life is always about context, right? You understand
Right.
the context of something, and you understand what you shouldn't be doing with something,
That's
right?
right.
It's like, hey, having a screwdriver, somebody said, is that a bad tool to have? And I'm like, well, it depends on what you're using it for. If you're using it as a hammer, it's a shitty tool. If you're using it for what it was intended to, then yeah, it's a great tool. So using that analogy, there's a place for Snapchat. It's like probably the rawest form of really getting to know someone.
Right.
You know, LinkedIn, it has its context on how you use that, and Facebook and and Twitter, all of them. So if you once you understand how to use them, that they all are different.
Right. Right.
And you
Each
use
one
them,
is
like-
definitely different.
yeah,
You
yeah.
have to use them
So,
correctly.
Because I get this a lot. Like, which channel do you recommend? I'm like, well, it depends. It depends on what you're doing.
What you're going to do. That's
I mean, if you're in the fitness, fashion, those types of spaces, well, Instagram, if you can put together some beautiful pictures and because fashion and fitness and those types of things are they're visual things.
That's right. That's right.
Um,
And Instagram's definitely a platform that's
Yeah.
more visual.
It's not that other forms of content doesn't work or other forms of other things don't work. It's just that space was really, for that type of art,
Right,
the arts and the visuals. Where Facebook's kind of like this long form, talk, like a blog, kind of like a moving
It's almost
blog.
like a moving blog or something. Yeah. Which do you like personally yourself? I mean, and I know you're on multiple channels, but what do you prefer?
The one that has the most people that want to talk. If I had to say one, Facebook, has done a great job building following. They, people like them, hate them or not. They have 2 billion users.
What about the new algorithm changes?
Yeah, that's nothing new. Actually, it's nothing new. I've been saying for the last few years that Facebook. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
So recently, Facebook changed the algorithm, or at least they announced that they changed it. I think that they've been changing over the last few years.
I don't think none of us know what they're doing. I mean, they just probably tweak stuff every day.
Yeah, well, and rightfully so, they should, because if they didn't, they would turn into Twitter.
Right.
And what I mean by that is that Twitter is not growing.
Right. That's kind of
And
right.
yeah, it's just not. It hasn't changed that much. It hasn't evolved as a platform as much as that some of us would like it to.
Right.
I think they recently made a change where they increased the character. But other than
I'm
that, so
kind of
back
a
to
Twitter
Facebook.
fan, but it doesn't. Going back to being different platforms, Twitter is a totally different world than how we communicate on other channels.
Yeah, so back to Facebook, you're asking me about. So Facebook's algorithm. I didn't get to finish that part.
Yeah, no, go ahead
Trying to
with
get better at that. Facebook's algorithm just says, this is what it says. This is basically what it says. It says if you have a Facebook page, don't expect anybody to see it when you post the rap on there.
Right.
That's it. And that's something we've been saying for the last few years. I mean, I do presentations all the time, and one of the slides that I show is the natural progression of organic
That's right.
views on your content on your page. So if you're paying someone to go to your Facebook page and to post crap on there, understand what you're paying them to do.
That's right.
This is what I say. There is a need for it,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like inviting someone over to your home and there's no furniture in it,
Right.
right? So you have to put content on the page.
That's right.
You just have to put it into perspective on what is that content actually going to do for you. And the content on your page is most likely not going to generate any business.
Yeah.
Now you could take that same exact content and pay Facebook and generate business.
That's right.
So for me, I'm happy that they did this. That just basically they just came out and finally told everybody, say, hey, if you didn't know and you weren't listening to Randall Chestnut when he was telling you that these pages are not getting seen by anybody, well, now we're going to go ahead and tell you he was right.
Right.
And we're not showing it anymore. So
Well, and I
that's it. That's the skinny of it. It doesn't affect anybody who's paying to play.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Facebook is a platform that has shareholders. And whenever you turn your business into a business that's owned by shareholders, shareholders want you to make money.
That's right.
So the way Facebook makes money is not giving away space that they can sell. So for someone to get pissed at Facebook for doing that, and you work for a large corporation, I'm pretty certain that you probably have stock in Facebook, so you should be careful what you wish for. It's, you look at all these people, they're rooting against some of these companies, and like corporate America should be doing this. I'm like, hell, hold on there, fella. Why don't we look at your portfolio and your 401k if you work at a business, and why don't you look and see who those companies are that you're trying to build all your retirement on?
That's a very valid
You should
point.
be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it.
So do you think, and I'm sure they probably are, but I guess some social media outlets are in people's 401ks,
Yeah,
blue chips.
hey,
Right?
it all depends. It all depends. I don't have a 401k. I don't trust people with the other people to. This is the thing. This is my thought. This is Randall Chestnut. No disparity on if you have a 401k or anything, but this is what I say. If you have a 401k, anytime the government recommends that you should do something, that should be a red flag. You shouldn't be doing
You
it.
should turn around the other way. That's right.
So the only time that for me, for a 401k, the 401k makes sense is if you work at a business and they'll match dollar for dollar what you put in.
Right.
So that if you put in $100, they give you $100.
Sure.
Because you got to know what you're doing. You're basically giving an institution, a group of guys who are going to take your money, and then they're going to decide where to put it.
They're going to decide what's best for you.
What's best for you. And they're going to give it to companies like United Airlines, who were in bankruptcy for 13 years, 13 month over month, lost money.
Or Enron.
Or any of those types. I'm not picking on them. That's just the one that I just thought of just right off the top of my head. And they're giving these companies money.
Mm-hmm.
It's your money.
Right.
And you're hoping that in 30, when you turn 59 and a half, whenever that date is, that you can cash it out.
That it all didn't get lost.
That it didn't get lost, right? I much rather would take that same money, set it aside, and I decide.
Right.
I go to the real estate community and I say, hey, look, I want to, Grant Cardone, or meet with a local investor and say, hey, look, I got $10,000 and I want to put it in an apartment complex because I can touch it, see it, and feel it, and control it.
That's right.
I want to know about that. That to me makes way more sense than giving some asshole that you don't know your money and expect that he's going to do a better job than you. Mm-hmm. There was a show that it was like 60 Minutes or 2020, one of those. They did it years back, and they literally had a monkey, gave him a newspaper, and whatever he pointed at, that was the stock they invested in. And then they got one of the Wall Street's best premier financial advisors to give them advice. And they're about even. No joke.
Monkey.
I am not despaired. There are financial advisors, financial planners. They all have these crazy names.
Right.
The guy who's going to tell you what to do with your money, that guy, right? Whatever, or gal, who are brilliant.
Sure.
Right, and they do know what to do with your money. And they show you how to keep more than you spend for the most part.
Right.
Out there.
But ups and downs of the market, I mean,
they make it way more complicated than it really needs to be, but they do that on purpose.
Sure.
Because that way they can have value.
Right.
It's like you're just giving something. The skinny of it is that I'm giving you my money.
Right.
You're going to take that money and decide which one of these companies do you think will be the best chance of them giving you more money back than you gave them.
Sure.
And I'm trusting you to do that.
Right. But we don't.
What do you know about those businesses? You don't even know shit about business. I'm asking a guy who don't know crap about running a business to look at a spreadsheet.
Right.
And that was kind of the
and
Steve Jobs
and
and those
historical
guys.
activities.
You can look at all that bullshit. It don't mean that shit don't mean crap. But look at that is the crux of what Steve Jobs, when he got ousted and he brought in John Scully from Pepsi.
Right.
The famous thing he said, if you read the book, he said he was out on a balcony. He'd been trying to seduce John Scully to leave Pepsi and come and be the CEO for Apple.
Okay.
And he said he finally, I think it was John Scully in the book was telling me, he's like, yeah, we're sitting out on the balcony. And Steve said, hey, what do you want to be known for? You want to know for selling sugar water or changing the world? And he said it was that moment that he really opened up. And Steve was a great salesperson.
Sure.
And he went and ran the thing. Unfortunately, Steve Jobs got the wrong man for the job because all he did was look at spreadsheets. He didn't understand like the essence of what was going on in the world, like
Right.
Steve
Like
did.
Steve
Not,
did, right.
I say Steve. There's other people, but he's just the one that I like to use as an example.
Right.
And I think a lot of CEOs. I mean, hey, Blockbuster ain't around
Oh no.
like it used to be.
No.
Rand McNally made maps. They even made. I think they made key maps too. I'm not sure if they
remember
did.
key maps. Are they
Rand
still
McNally
around?
was around for hundreds of years, but you don't have a Rand McNally app that when you say, Google it, for location wise. Anyway, you got Waze, you got these right? Motorola, who did not believe that the StarTech was the best phone back in the early 90s to early 2000s. That's
Remember the
StarTech.
I remember having a BlackBerry. I had a BlackBerry.
It was before the BlackBerry. BlackBerry was good too. And hey, there's another example. Blackberry, what happened to that?
They didn't manage. They
Same
didn't
thing.
keep up
So
with
it's somebody
the-
who's looking at some damn spreadsheets.
Right.
The person, it's the product guy.
Mm-hmm.
Steve was a product guy, not a numbers guy. The product guy is the one who wins. We live in that world now. We live in a world where you can get a sense for humanity and what are they craving, what are they needing, what is the world is. It's like this moving organism.
Right. Right.
And looking at some spreadsheets is like this. When somebody says socialism better than capitalism, when you see socialism on paper, it does make a lot better sense.
Right.
But it removes the human element.
Right. When you
The
see it in
humans
action,
want to
it
be
does
more.
work. Right.
They don't want to be just like you. They don't all want to be the same.
Right.
So on paper, some things look different than they do in the world. If you can find a financial advisor that knows how to do both, stick with that guy or gal. It's probably a gal though.
Probably is. So like a Steve Jobs of the financial world that understands both sides of the coin.
Hey, look, we got Facebook Live. I did.
Wallace just called you.
Yeah, William Wallace. He did, right? I'm close to William Wallace.
Dude, I'm a big fan of his. I didn't
Hey,
know
that was a great movie, Braveheart, right?
So who's on the Facebook Live?
Well, we got a bunch of people, and I tried to be respectful of the people who are listening on the podcast because they can't be privy to people on the phone. But I did want to acknowledge that everybody who's watching, thank you. I appreciate you
Well, we're
watching.
talking about multiple social media platforms, so there's no reason we shouldn't be on two at the same time.
I totally
Yes.
agree. So hope now that all my friends that are in the financial space are unfriending me
They're
and
unfriending
disagreeing
you
with me.
right now on-
Hey, I go on rants with different groups. I piss off all the real estate friends. I got a
Right.
lot of those.
Right.
And then I move on to the mortgage, and now I'm picking on everybody in this insurance. You're next. Oh, so
Well, don't pick on anybody you might need. I mean, not that you don't need those people, but like your car repair guy and stuff. When you're in a time of need and they're
yeah.
you're
Well,
gonna piss
here's
them off.
the thing. And Joe, my business partner, he started a show called the Wine No Wine Show, where
That's a good show.
it's
Very good
it's
show.
a 1 hour Facebook Live show, where his tagline is you're in 1 hour you're guaranteed to be offended and befriended all in the same hour, right? Because I think that's really when we all get together, whether we're friends, family, or whatever, or somebody stranger you don't know,
Right.
we have different opinions.
Sure.
That doesn't mean that you can't respect that person's opinion.
Right.
Like just because that person doesn't agree with yours, like we see it all over, right? And it's just it's a shell game that the powers that be are playing on you. They're playing tricks on you. They're playing with your emotions. Remember the movie Friday? You're playing with my emotions, Smokey. You're
remember
selling
the movie.
weed
I don't
for them, right?
remember I don't remember that live. But that's-
So,
Big Ice Cube fan. Talk about
yeah.
a phenomenal.
oh yeah, right. So they're playing with your emotions because they know if they can get people emotionally involved and they can keep groups separated. It's easier to control small groups of people. Get the women against the men, female movement, and then get Asians against blacks, or blacks against whites, whites
So
against
take that
everybody,
back
or
to
whatever.
Being a social media digressing.
Well,
Take that back to being a social media influencer.
It's just if you see it now, you see people like Donald Trump really using the platform
Wow. Yes.
to
absolutely.
incite. He's playing with your emotions. You don't think that guy knows when he says those crazy things that what he's doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, whether you agree or disagree, so, the thing is like you'll find in life that 50% of the world will like you and 50% will hate you.
That's right.
And it doesn't matter who you are. Hey, Jesus, they put him on the cross too.
Right.
So as long as you're okay with it, there's always, no matter what you do, say, and I think that he's at a place in his life where he's like, hey, I don't care. And this is going to sound like I'm a fan of his or not a fan of his. I'm in the middle. You always, if you're a smart business person, you always try to look at things from the middle and try to be on a little bit. Understand when you're working with employees and you're negotiating things that you got to be in the middle. You can't be on. There are times when you have to take a stand.
Be on one side or the other.
You know, if you believe in pro-choice, then you gotta make a stand.
Sure.
Or or the opposite. Or if you believe that in the death penalty, you can't be in the middle. It's either you kill them or not, right?
Well, I don't know. You probably killed a lot of people are walking around half dead.
But when you're in the information gathering phase, you need to stay in the middle.
Right.
Because if you're not, you can become that. What do they call it? Information bias, or
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So where you're looking for information that's on your side, and any information that's against yours, you're on that side, right?
Right.
So you got to be in the middle and be okay with it. Go when you go and you watch CNN. If all you do is watch CNN, it's gonna be one way. And if all you do is watch Fox, it's gonna be the opposite way.
Right.
But if you could watch them both, and you go, damn, are they talking about the same event that I watched? Right? And you find and inside of there, you should always seek out facts. If you're gonna argue or debate or discuss, you learn this in high school in your debating class. It's simple shit that you seek out the truth and the facts. You have to be able to, if you're debating with somebody, you have to yourself control your emotions.
Right.
If you're trying to win a debate, you're usually trying to get them.
Trying to sway their emotions.
Yeah, you're trying to sway their emotions. If they're both smart, they can both kind of find a place where it's like, where do we agree that this is facts?
Right.
I don't remember where I read it, where I seen it, what I did. I read so often, and I think it's very good. If you ever are in a debate and you get emotional about something, take yourself and start looking, where is it that James and I do agree, or whoever you're discussing an issue with, and try to find a place that you can agree on.
A jumping off point.
Yeah.
Find some common ground,
well,
and then
this is what happens. Because if you don't, you're just going to argue with people until you're blue in the face. Because nobody's going to come to you're not going to say some magical thing.
Right.
That's going to change them, because most of the time, everything that we say that comes out of our mouth and enters someone else's ears, we believe it to be true.
Right.
And we do not want to be wrong. So whatever we got to do to not be wrong, we're going to do that.
Right.
Even in there was a John Stossel. You know this guy, John Stossel?
Oh, yeah, I remember
So
him.
he done this show where he was trying to catch these people who were refrigerator. They were like, what do they call it? People who fix appliance repairmen. And bust them for overcharging for stuff that they did not do.
Right.
So what they did in this one case, they took out this piece that all it needed to be done was plugged back in. It was just unplugged.
Right.
And they painted it with this where you put a black light on it.
Right.
You can't see it in normal light. We put black light on it, right?
Right.
And they put it back in. They call the repairman, and every one of those, they call 3. Every guy that came over said, "Oh, you got a bad whatever, a coil or whatever this thing was, right?"
Capacitor.
And they charge them like $200-$300,
right?
For the part, and then for the time and the labor. Right. And every time they would go in there, they would pull it out, and they put the black light, and it was still the same piece. All they did was plug in the original piece, and it charged them, right? Well, then they would go to these people, and they come out and say, "Hey, I'm John Stossel with 60 Minutes, and hey, I wanted to show you something. Is that you?" Even in the face of seeing a video,
Dateline maybe.
It was a Dateline, maybe the Dateline, one of those, right? Even in the face of seeing the video where they did that, it's like, nope, I didn't do that.
Well, yeah,
so if you can, that person right there, you would have a debate where you wouldn't have any proof.
Right.
Even when you had proof, had facts. So you got to understand that that's how humans. It's human nature to not want to do that, and you have to understand that how can you make that person not feel wrong?
So did any repair person do the right thing and say, "Oh, you didn't need this"?
Not in the examples that he did.
Well, I guess that wouldn't have made for a good story.
No, it wouldn't have made. I mean, there are.
So
hey,
just pissed off the appliance repair industry.
So we've gone through real estate, insurance, financial, and this. Who can I get next?
Tell you gotta stay away. They're going to.
Hey, there are honest people, and this is what it goes back to the 50 rule. There are honest people in every industry, and there are dishonest people in every industry too. You just got to make sure you're not the one that's a dishonest one.
That's true. I stepped away from my mic. We are
We're coming up on that.
in the podcast studio, so we can move around if we want, I guess, and not be so rigid. It's not FM talk radio by any means. We can keep the show real. So we are coming up on our runtime, Randall. What do you want to wrap with?
So I will wrap it with what I started with.
Okay, influencing, social media influence.
Yeah, so influence it. We all of us have it. My 9-year-old daughter has influence over me when she wants McDonald's.
Absolutely.
And I don't want her to have McDonald's. And then it's a battle of wills and who's better at influence than the other one. And I'll be honest.
So she usually wins.
Sometimes she's better at the influencing part. I will say I'm weak on that matter.
Right.
That we all have the ability to influence people, right?
Sure.
But you have to make a conscious effort on what are you influencing people for? What is it that you want to be influential about? You know, if you're a real estate agent, there's so many different types of real estate. There's luxury homes. There's rental properties. There's farm and ranch. There's raw land. There's commercial. There's all those. So you need to figure out which one, just one, and be the go-to guy or gal for that. And it's no different in the financial services. It's the insurance. It's any of those. Figure out which one of those you want to be the master, because you can't be influential about everything. You can only be influential about one thing.
That's right. What's the saying was it takes 5 years, 10 years of work? Is it 5 years or 10 years?
Yeah, that was Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours.
10,000 hours.
Yeah, it was The Outliers.
Right. I've actually read that.
It's a great book.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll say this again, where we started. Everyone has the ability to influence people. It's just are you using it, and are you not using it? And if you want to know more about how you can become an influencer, you want to visit my Facebook page. It's Randall, and that's it's R. His Facebook and / R Chestnut, and that's CHESNUTT. No T in the middle, 2 at the end. And check out some content that I put there. You can go to my Instagram. It's the same thing. It's R Chestnut. I try to keep it up on. You can look me up on LinkedIn. It's Randall Chestnut there on LinkedIn. Again, no T in the middle, 2 at the end. And I always love when people give me comments. I don't think that everything that I know is right.
Right.
But I try to do my best to research it, and I'm always open-minded to being wrong.
Sure.
Just not in front of people. Well, James, thanks for having me out today. I really enjoy this, and I look forward to do a future podcast over here.
No worries, Randall. Thanks for being out. Randall Chestnut, no T in the middle, 2 T's at the end. Social media influencer and CEO of Spoken About. Is that correct?
That's it.
All right, Randall. Thanks for being on. It's Hustle City, USA. I'm James Hargrove, the Texas Real Estate Dude, and we are out.
There we go. Man, I don't know who's giving me all those hearts, but I wanted to acknowledge those. Thank you very much. Hopefully you found that useful, whoever's giving me all that.
Is it the same person giving you?
If it is, I take them. Hey, hopefully you guys get a chance to check out the Hustle City USA podcast. Actually, I did 4 of them today. We'll be rolling them out. I'm super excited about them. If you aren't aware, I'm doing a workshop event February 17th at the Heights Opera House. I am so excited. It's called How to Become an Influencer Using Facebook and LinkedIn. If you're the type of person who's in an industry and you want to be, or you already are, and you want people to contact you to be on maybe a news outlet, when you see these guys on Fox News or local channels, those people became influencers, and there's a technique that they use. If you want to be able to write called and asked to come speak, you'll want to come to the workshop, and you can go to influencerplaybook.com. That's influencerplaybook.com. Check it out. It'll give you a list, and there is a whole plethora of things. I actually give all the people who register and come to the event access to my All-In Academy. It's I've got 20 high definition videos that walk you from beginner to fully advanced for Facebook and LinkedIn. How to launch a product in 7 steps. How to determine your ideal client. So what else? Personal transformation mastery. How to become more confident, and a whole bunch of other stuff. If you just go there, I won't take up your time. And man, whoever's pushing that button, keep pushing it until it's that's Freddie. I can tell now. And hey, Paige, you just coming on. Hey, we're super excited about the Heights Opera House. If you haven't gone by there, it's on Heights Boulevard. They're coming into their season. Go check them out on their website. The reason, and let me just say before I get off, the reason that we chose to do this event at the Heights Opera House is because becoming an influencer and doing social media is all about storytelling. And what better place to go to than the opera to learn about and experience and the energy and the vibe of the opera, because who's better than doing that? They tell stories through music. You can go to the opera and not even speak the language, and you could just feel that raw energy about what's going on in that scene. So that's why, and we wanted to do things differently, than have it at a hotel. We wanted to have it at a location that like meant something. Is like you could feel it. So we're going to have breakfast and lunch is going to be served there. So it's all part of it. Again, you can go to, and I'll put it in the top of the feed. It's influencerplaybook.com. And if you want to check out the opera in the heights.org, you can go there and check it out. It's a great place to just go. And it's not as stuffy as the Houston Opera, but it definitely has the same talent. It's a little bit more intimate. You can learn a lot more about it. And hey, and if you're someone, let me give you this last little tidbit. Being cultured, golf, tennis, opera, ballet, IndyCar, those 5 things, and volunteering at the museums. If you're somebody who wants to rub elbows with the people who are making things happen, attend the opera. Learn about the opera, drink wine, smoke cigars, go to the museum, donate your time at these museums, attend IndyCar, go to golf tournaments, enjoy golf or tennis, all of those. And you know how you know that? Because look at the people who pay to advertise. You can always tell who the person is that are attending these events based on who the advertisers are. If you watch basketball, you're going to see McDonald's. Broke is a joke, folks. Nothing wrong with liking basketball, but that's the majority of the people are watching it. You watch golf or tennis, it's Rolex, it's those types of people. So anyway, hey, thanks everybody who are coming on. Hey, if you're not following me on here yet, do me a favor. Where it says right next to where it says add, and if we're already friends, you click that button that's right next to it and select always see. Or follow. I'm sorry. There's a button that says always follow and then see first. That way we can get my content to you sooner than later. I sometimes give away stuff. I always give away free advice or free content. So again, if you don't mind sharing the video, and as always, I enjoy having everybody come on, and I'm out. Bye.